Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm going to talk about the Four of Swords today. You may have already guessed my Kate Bush song choice for this. It's probably quite an obvious one in a way, but I think the Kate Bush song more talks about the negative sides of this card. So I wanted to do sort of more a quick introduction and more about get a balanced view, because this card has both positives and negatives to it. Now I am past the halfway mark doing this tarot deck. I get to the exciting point of often having like sets of numbers or court cards and comparing them. So I have now got, this is my first set of 4. So I just wanted to quickly talk about 4s as well and what they represent. 4s are really about like the walls of the house. So they are a stability, if you like. I don't know whether I have said this in some of the previous videos I've done about the 4s, but a few months ago I was staying in a house, around a house, and so it didn't have those walls, well, it obviously did have walls, but it didn't have a box. It wasn't a box, it was a circle. So it was actually really disorientating at first, the first few days, to not really know where north and south was. I found myself getting quite lost. There was like a central room that you walked through, and that was very much the heart of the building. So I hadn't realised, I think, until that point, how much I relied on that sense of being in a square to, yeah, it was disorientating, as I've said. And I think there is this sense of security of knowing where we are with the 4s, or thinking, and that can be both, you know, positive and negative. Anyway, so let me just recap the cards I've made so far on the 4s, and I will link the videos which explain them a bit longer and my reasons for the choice. So 4 of Wands is, I'll try and get that bit straighter, is the music. So this is about celebration, about finding our community, really, coming together, often associated with weddings, where you've got 2 families coming together. And, well, that, you know, that a community can be a wonderful thing, but it can also repress us, can't it, as an individual. We've got that balance between conforming and fitting in and expressing and being ourselves. And as I said in this video, you know, weddings themselves can become really stressful occasions where, you know, one person tries to take control, or someone becomes too perfectionist about things and sort of forgets kind of a lot of these, right, with these 4s, whenever I think of an easy way to think of the negative side, I think, is to think of the negative qualities of this man here, who is the 4 in the major arcana, is the Emperor. So he is about control. He is about his empire sometimes. He is about getting his way, or can be. So that's definitely his darker side. So that's 4 of Wands. Here was I'm Still Waiting, which was 4 of Cups. So that is more of a, like when I was a child, nothing was open on Sunday, no shops or anything. And this is like a Sunday afternoon card for me as a child, being bored, friends not being around, not really knowing what to do, rubbish on telly. And, you know, so it's emotions, it's cups, it's associated with emotions, and our emotions can get stagnant, we can feel listless. I mean, there can be a comfort in this card as well, as you know, in all the 4s, but that stability that we crave, you know, can become a prison. And also nature is about change, is about renewal. Life itself is about change, isn't it? We, in a way, by wanting things to stay the same, we are fighting what it is, aren't we? We're fighting what how life really is. Things don't stay the same. Other people come and mess with our plans, that sort of thing. Now, Four of Pentacles, possibly the darkest one of the whole set. Certainly a dark song, because this is dreaming. Really about how I think if we focus too much on building our empire, if you like, or not thinking of other people, that we start to exploit nature, and we just start to exploit people who are less powerful than ourselves. So this is really about, this card can be about how we use resources and whether we are sharing them. It can also, as I said in the video, be about boundaries and making sure that someone isn't exploiting us. So that is Four of Pentacles, or Four of Discs. Now, I think this is, as for most of the Rider-Waite, this is, this is the first image that most people think of. Let me just bring it a bit closer. So we have this knight, and he has got 4 swords. He is taking a break. He's taking a rest. He's had a difficult battle, maybe. In some versions of this card, this sword is a lot nearer to him. Here he seems very much unarmed. This card, although you can associate it with meditation, we are in the suit of air, so we're about thoughts and ideas. A lot of the kind of disruption and upset of the Three of Swords has now settled again. We haven't got that same disturbance. But again, we can get set in our ways. And this is an uncomfortable card, I think, because it always makes me think, well, what is... I don't like the way the swords are above his head like that. There's a bit of a threat in that. And I think, well, he's in this church, he's found this sanctuary, but what's happening outside? Surely there is some sort of threat that he needs to be aware of. So again, as I keep saying with these fours, it is this stability, this security, this haven, if you like, is temporary. It is not a state that we can exist in forever. And it's dangerous, maybe, to think that we can. And if we also think of the Major Arcana quickly again, and we think, well, we are also associated with the Emperor, who's a 4, but we can also think of death as a 4, because death is number 13, and 1 and 3 together is 4. And we can think there is often this constant tension in life between us wanting to keep things as they are, to keep the status quo, and life itself, and death in all its forms, if you like, disrupting that. All our plans, can get destroyed in a minute. That insecurity, that uncertainty. We try and find security in life, but that death is always that shadow, isn't it? Sorry, that's quite dark. Now, this is a dark song, I think, maybe. Right, so this song I have chosen is from Hounds of Love. It is on the second side, so on the 9th wave side, which is a concept album. And it is about someone, this is from the first song, and Dream of Sleep, which is about someone who maybe their boat has sunk, or some sort of disaster, and they're floating in this water, waiting to be rescued. And while they're waiting, they're wanting to fall asleep. I suppose they possibly have hypothermia, or are close to it. And there's that seduction of sleep, of just escape, of just that they want to have that rest. But they can't. They know if they fall asleep, they'll die. That will be it. So they've got to keep awake. So it is a dark song. In the song itself, there is, can I remember the actual lyric? I will just get the book So Kate Bush uses her mum's voice in the song. So just everything falling down. So I'll just get the lyrics. So her mum, has it said it? Perhaps it hasn't got her mum's voice. So her mum says in the, I'll have to try and remember it. Her mum says something like, "Come here now." And Kate Bush says it was the words that she used to say, when she had, as a child, and she had a bad dream. So her mum, she'd wait in the room for her mum to wake up because she didn't want to disturb her. And her mum would always wake and she'd say, "Oh, come here now," or whatever she said. So, and that would be associated with comfort. Something bad had happened and the mum was there. So there's a lot of nostalgia here in that, wanting to return to that safety of home, which I think is a very much a four energy. But she is on her own in this story, and it isn't going to be her mum rescuing her. She's got to wait for the helicopter or whatever. And the other thing that I learned from what is wrong with my memory today? KateBushEncyclopedia.com, which is fantastic, and I strongly recommend, is that the musician that played the whistle at the end of this song, there's a slight bend in the note at the end. It is very slight. I have listened to this song since learning this, and it's very subtle, and it cuts off at the end. But I suppose that fall in the note is that maybe sense of despair or loss. It's sadness, and the musicians have said that it took 3 hours to record that song until Kate Bush was happy with that final note. This photo is taken from the video she made in 2014, just before she was doing her Before the Dawn tour. So in a way, this video was like her comeback song. She hadn't toured for so long, since the late 1970s. So she hadn't toured for like over 30 years. It's incredible, isn't it? And this was going to be like this is a big comeback. And I was thinking about it and thinking, this is quite an interesting song to choose as your comeback song. I mean, in some ways it makes sense because Ninth Wave is such a critically acclaimed album. And I can see how she would want this to represent her career in some ways. But I think it was also a message that, look, I am still a really serious artist. I am still want the focus to be on my art. So this is not on my, this, she's described the Ninth Wave, as like a film. So I want it to be on the art rather than myself. I think I will link the album. I'll probably link the song from Hounds of Love, and I will link this recording as well. I find it really uncomfortable to watch this video. I'll just say that. I have since learned that it took her 3 days to record. She was really cold, and she looks really uncomfortable in the video. She's not acting that discomfort. And I think it makes it really difficult to watch. because it's too real, really. It's too real to imagine that horrifying scenario. I think, and then I was thinking, well, why did she put herself through that for 3 days as well? Almost to the point, I think, of maybe getting hypothermia herself, and not having to be careful. And it's like before you do anything, almost like a rite of people do like trials and stuff, or like an initiation, or a rite of passage, something that you do maybe before you do something to sort of mentally prepare yourself. I think it was almost like she had this big tour coming ahead, which was obviously, would have been a massive thing for her to be returning to the tour, and maybe having negative associations, I would have thought, from that time when she was so much younger and she was pushed so hard, which put her off touring. So I think there were probably some demons to deal with. And I'm pausing because I'm also thinking about that young lighting engineer who died as well during one of her tours. So I think there was a lot of emotional baggage. And I feel like this was almost like I don't know, I'm just guessing, but like a rite of passage for her, or some sort of symbolic thing that she did. And also there is that connection with her mum, who had since passed by 2014. And I think, all those things. And it's also difficult to watch because she's on her own in that video, and there is this real hermit energy to Kate Bush, despite the maybe I shouldn't say despite, because they can exist together, but she's this big performer, and with her dancing and taking on different personas, and her music has a lot of power, but there is also this sense of her being a hermit. I don't use the word recluse because that sounds too negative, but that idea of retreating or feeling kind of on her own, that identification with the outsider in some of her songs as well. So I think that's another aspect to this. So anyway, I felt like I have rambled on a bit. So I hope there's still been something interesting about this song. I think it is. It does fascinate me. And be interested as always to know your thoughts on this song, on this card, and on this video. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.